Welcome and welcome back again to another edition of the Ekper Exchange podcast, a podcast powered by the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Rwanda. If you're looking to explore the world of accountancy, grow your career, or simply understand the profession better, Ekper has you covered. You can find everything you need by visiting our website via www.ikperrwanda.com. Hello. Welcome back again to another edition of the Ekper Exchange podcast, where we have conversations that count. If you're hearing this voice for the first time, my name is Isimbi Rujema Betty. I am the Public Relations Officer at the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Rwanda, Ekper. This episode is a special one because it's the first one we're having in the year 2026, and it being the first episode, we are bringing you someone special, someone who's an expert in the topic we have for today. And today's topic is navigating legal risks in the modern business environment. And when we're talking about risks, legal, there is no better choice than our guest for today. And allow me to welcome our guest for today. You're welcome. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
So, thanks, Betty. Thanks, Betty, for the opportunity to join your audience as we discuss the topic of the day. My name is Dieudonné Nzafashwanayo. I'm a lawyer, so I'm a partner in a law firm called Africa. So it's a Pan-African firm with offices in 7 African countries. So we are a full-service firm, so assist clients on a range of legal matters from corporate, commercial, bank and finance, labor and employment, tax, anything to do with business. Thank you. Happy to be with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And anything to do with business, I like that last statement. Even our topic for today is all about legal risk in the modern business environment. And anything to do with business, you are the best option. And we thank you so much for making time and being here. It's something we do not take for granted. And yeah, thank you.
Happy to be with you.
Yeah. So we've been seeing things around. People go through a lot while navigating the legal risks in their businesses. And to start off, how would you define legal risk in today's business environment?
Okay, thanks, Betty. So I think if I try to define or to explain legal risk in a business context, so it's actually twofold. So I would actually say legal and regulatory risk. So legal risk may involve the risk that may arise from maybe you are dealing with your business partners, your customers, your suppliers, so which are not really taken care of, in those dealings. It may be a contract that is poorly drafted, and the chance and increases, the chances of there being a dispute between you and your business partner or a customer. It may be a customer's complaint that's not been properly handled. It may be an employee who's been terminated, not in accordance with the procedures of prescribed in the law or the internal laws and policies of the company. So that's all those kind of things may be referred to as legal risk, because when they are not taken care of, they may crystallize or materialize, and the cost for the company or for the business may not be that small. Now, when come to the regulatory part, so this is really depends on the industry in which a business operates. Let's say if you are a telecommunication company and you were regulated by the Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority, RURA. So there are maybe licenses you hold. That license comes with certain compliance requirements, maybe filing certain monthly annual reports. So, and not doing that, what are the legal consequences for that? So think of the data protection. So this is also part of the regulatory part of businesses. How are you handling the data of your customers? How are you processing them? So are you compliant in terms of data processing and data control, right? So do you have the necessary permits and licenses from the National Cybersecurity Authority? And what are because the reason why I'm emphasizing on data protection, it's becoming a hot topic, even in developed markets like Europe and the US, right? So you see companies being slapped with massive fines due to data protection non-compliance. So those are the kind of things that come to my mind when you talk of legal and regulatory risks.
Okay. I think this is an interesting topic, and we're gonna have a lot of questions because when it comes to legal risks and all the legalities that you're talking about, if I have said that right, people really don't understand. They understand the basics, but when you dig deeper, there are a lot of things people can slap you with. There are a lot of things, for example, if an audit is going on around, and sometimes you can miss a certain thing. For example, if I miss to include maybe an employer, I'm the employee, if I miss to include their child in the insurance system, and maybe simply because that employee didn't have a child yet when they came. They weren't married, they didn't have a child. Or maybe they're not even married. Let's come to that. If they're not married and they have a child, and the insurance system works in a way you are married, for example, that I don't know about that. You're married, you have a child, the insurance is to you, your wife, and your child. If I'm not married and I have a child, if my employer doesn't include my child in the insurance system, would that affect the institute legally?
Well, those are small questions. Those are small issues because if your employee has dependents, I think that's the right word to use in terms of law. Has the dependents. I mean, it may be their wife or their husband. It may be their kids. It may be like their kids if they are not married, right? So, and of course, for them to get their kids, enrolled into the insurance scheme and everything, they need to get their birth certificates, all those kind of, paperwork, right? So in terms of this, those are small issues, things that can be easily fixed, right? So because it simply means that the employee can, tell you that this is the issue you're having, my child is not enrolled does not have the insurance card, whatever. I assume you're talking about medical insurance, right? And then it can be easily taken care of. So, but when you talk of like things that pose serious legal risks, let me give you like an example. So you are an organization, you have financial issues, and it's clear you need to structure organization and dismiss, some employees, right? So that means that there is a legal process involved in that. There are legal requirements that have to be complied with. So you may make it easier for you and make it easy for you and say, okay, look, I have 15 employees, I can only pay 5, I have to dismiss 10. So you don't look at anything, just follow your whims, and you be like, okay, look, X maybe does not doing his job well. You don't actually perform any evaluations. You just do things as you please, and you pick a few individuals to stay with the organization, and you dismiss the list. So in terms of legal list, that's very significant, because the law provides for the procedure, for dismissing employees for organization undergoing financial or economic difficulties, right? So in terms of who should go first and who should stay, in terms of notices, in terms of consultations. Now, if you decide to do things your own way, right? So the chances that everything's going to backfire are very high, because let's say you've dismissed any employees, and down the line you realize that the whole process was flawed, right? So, and they take you to court. So now and then the cost, the exposure of the organization is going to be extremely high, right? So those are the kind of things you talk of. Think of an organization which has a license to operate in a certain industry, and you have a license for a period of 10 years, right? Now, that license for a period of 10 years, so you don't even bother checking, internally to see maybe how many years do I remain with for my license to expire. So, and you realize that maybe only 1 month before the expiry date of your license. So in that case, you can imagine now the pressure it's creating on the organization. Now you need to start engaging with a regulator, so that you can maybe secure the extension of the license, right? But if you are monitoring things, right? So you will be in a position to start engaging with the regulator early in time, right? So that you can get even the extension of your license, or the renewal if it's something you can get, right? So there are also other things. Let's say you have a contract with a major customer, so which restricts you from changing your shareholding, the owners, and now the shareholding changes. So, and if you look at the contract, so according to that specific contract, you have to notify your customer in case of change in shareholding, or maybe you need to get their approval. And let's say for some weird reasons you did not, think about that. You went ahead and done something that is restricted under that contract. So, and they terminate the contract, and that's a major customer. Maybe in terms of revenue, let's say you've been getting like $1 billion or 500 million a year, from that specific customer, and they're terminating the contract because due to like a small oversight, such kind of things.
Okay, thank you so much, Dieudonné. Why do you think business leaders who are not lawyers still care deeply about legal risk?
Good question. It's because everything, be it the food we eat, be it the body lotion used to take care of our bodies. So be it the cars we drive, be it anything, it is in one way or the other affected by them all, right? So for instance, I use the most basic examples of the food we eat, the body lotion used to take care of our bodies. So think of a tag on let's say like a biscuit, like in a supermarket, which indicates the ingredients, the expiry date, so all those kind of things, right? So you may think that these are things that are being done just for the sake of doing it. No, we have laws about food and drugs. We have laws about consumer protections, the kind of information the consumers need to get, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is that the business leaders are more concerned, are always interested into the position of the law about each and everything affecting their businesses, not because they are lawyers, but because they appreciate the fact that in one way or the other, anything going on in their business is affected, or maybe is regulated, or somehow, somewhat interact with them.
Okay. So it's really important to care deeply.
Very important. You can't avoid it. You can manage it, but you can't avoid it.
Yeah, true. That's very true. As someone who's been in this area of business law and is it business law?
Yes.
Yeah,
General business
around
law.
that area.
Yes.
Are there any emerging risks that many organizations are still overlooking?
Okay. Well, look, the main one is data protection, but again, if you look at why we are in terms of regulation and enforcement in Rwanda, it hasn't become like that threatening, right? But it's really becoming increasingly important because it's a new area of law, at least in Rwanda. So I think it's been less than more maybe 5 years since we last got the first data protection law, right? So it came with different obligations when it comes to processing data, transferring data. So now, even if the National Cybersecurity Authority, the data protection office within the same organization, has not yet started to enforce in terms of imposing penalties, but the penalties provided for by the data protection law are incredible. I mean, they are crazy, right? So that if an organization is, let's say, if a big organization is charged a fine of 1% of their sales, you understand what that would mean. So this one of those areas, right? So another thing is more about compliance. So compliance, let's say you are a company, there are obligations to file the annual accounts with the Rwanda Development Board, specifically the Office of the Registrar General. So again, the only thing maybe, or the only comfort you are taking is that the relevant government institutions in charge of enforcing those things have not yet started to be aggressive in terms of enforcement and everything, right? But those are the kind of things the organization can ignore only at their own peril.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. I really get that. So if we can jump to the practical business impact, can you share a real example of a business that faced serious consequences due to poor legal risk management?
Well, as I indicated, we've had a case. Of course, I may not mention the details of the entity, but it was about compliance with data protection laws. Well, not data protection law as such, because at that time we did not have a law, right? So, but there were some instructions from the regulator imposing restrictions about where you should store the data of your customer. And it was clear it is not allowed to store the customer's data outside Rwanda.
Oh, it's not.
Well, that time there was a clear instruction in that specific industry, right? In that specific industry, so the regulator had issued instruction that it is not allowed to store the customer's data outside Rwanda, right? So it's not in every industry you have such kind of things, right? So, and the business entity, maybe, I don't know whether that's how they understood the law, maybe whether they had an opinion from their legal advisor. I don't know what happened, right? But one day the regulator came, knocked their door and said, hey, where are you storing the data of your customer? So a lot of discussions back and forth, and they ended up being slapped with, I think, a fine of $7 million. Which is a big money, right?
Yeah, it is.
So now back to your question, whether it is allowed to store data outside Rwanda or not. So the law provides for a loan for that, but you need to get the approval of the National Cybersecurity Authority.
Okay. At what stage should a business start thinking seriously about legal risk management? At what stage?
As soon as possible.
As soon as you think about
which
opening a
basically
business.
is something that should come in your mind before you set up.
Oh,
So maybe to get you an idea. So you advise clients, let's say foreign businesses that are considering to come and start business in Rwanda. So most of them, before even deciding to, in fact, the legal risk profile of a given jurisdiction is part of what they base on when deciding whether they are setting up in a given country or not. So I think the best or the right time to think about that is before setting up the business.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So that you know what is waiting you ahead. For you ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I hope everyone really gets this, because like you do a survey of how a business should run and everything. It's the same way you should think about the legal risks aligned. And thank you so much for that. If we are to talk about strategy and preventions and all the necessities that are out here, what systems or processes should companies put in place to effectively manage legal risks?
Well, I think this is really going to depend on a number of things, particularly the size of the business. Because let's say if a company has a turnover of 200 million a year, so, and then think of the cost of legal services. So that lawyer who would always check every data you're selling out, who would always check like a contract, you're signing with your customer, right? But to be straight to the point, so especially for the organization at least that can afford legal services. I don't think there is an organization that cannot afford legal services. Maybe it really depends on how you approach things, right? So they need, to make sure that they have like systems in place, like for instance, ensuring that their contract, the template contract that they use with their customers are always up to date, right? So let's say you have a template you've been using for 10 years, laws have been changing, you don't know whether what's in that is correct or not, right? So you need to make sure that, like, let's say between 2 and 3 years, you're checking your templates and see whether everything is still in order, right? So you also need to look at some of the key documents, to keep an eye on the key documents of the organization. Think of, let's say if you are in a regulated industry, you have a license, you need to make sure that what are the terms of my license? Am I fully compliant, right? So that's one. The constitutional documents of the company, the articles of association, the shareholders agreement. So what do they provide for? Am I learning the business of the company, like particularly when it comes to the decision making, like shareholders decision, board decisions? Am I doing this in accordance with the constitutional documents of my organization? So those are the kind of things. So you need to make sure that you have like a proper way of tracking those things, right? Keeping an eye on those things, right? So what else? So you also need to make sure that, because there are some industries whose legal and regulatory framework tend to change every then and now, right? So in that specific case, you have to be careful. Make sure that you you're tracking everything that's going on and likely to affect your industry. And it's not really as costly as it may sound, because these days nobody, I would say, has the monopoly over knowledge in any area, not just law. So if, let's say, there is a neuro, you would always see that smart lawyer who's come up with like a small newsletter summarizing what's in the neuro. At least can get you an idea. Maybe this is affecting your business. So you're in this industry. So look, this new law has been enacted. And they are saying, and that, at least that should form the basis for you to be like, you know what, I need to talk to my lawyer, right? So, but at least some of the preliminary quick things, you can check for them yourself, and then based on that, you can take a decision to go ahead and engage with like a professional, because at the end of the day, you need someone who is responsible, who is qualified to own, whatever advice they are giving you. Yeah, and I think that's. I think there is an article I was reading. It's about AI in the legal profession, because AI can do a lot of things in this specific area of ours, but it can't be responsible for whatever position that's been taken.
Sure.
So you would always need a human brain. You'd always need a human being to own that position that's been
to be held
provided,
accountable,
even if it's through AI or whatever. So and that ownership or that responsibility, it's not something that happens just like that. Someone needs to do like a few checks, to validate whatever is being, gathered from there.
I think okay, it's not a question. It's maybe like some piece of advice you would give. For example, if I have an online shop, most people are doing online businesses nowadays, and for example, I sell jewelry or clothes, and it's online. No one is going to come to me and everything. But if I have like a small or a medium-sized business, how can I handle legal risks without having a large legal team or no legal team at all?
Okay, look, that's a trick question. Not having a legal, you don't need to have an in-house legal team, because maybe you don't have a lot of many legal issues. You don't have a lot of legal issues to deal with, right? So you may not need to have like someone on your payroll whom you'll be always paying for advising you, right? Yeah. But at least much as, yes, we have limitation of resources in terms of budgeting and everything, you may not be able to afford maybe to pay the bills for legal advisors, right? So the first way of dealing with that, so it's just to be trying to be checking a few things for yourself, right? So just to understand which areas of law affect my business. Number one, data protection.
Yeah.
Especially in that specific case. So ICT law. So that's my business. If I've developed an app which I'm using, like as a platform to
do my business.
Is to do my business, right? So which compliance or regulatory requirements that affect this intellectual property. So because the other day you're a startup, you're trying to put your name on the map, you're just building a brand, all of a sudden you see someone with like almost the same brand. So, and maybe you did not think about that before, and they are even smarter than you, and they have went ahead and protected that brand. You can't use it, right? So, but much as yes, legal expertise may be involved in all those processes, right? So those are the kind of the questions or the things you can, if you are curious enough. So as a business owner, especially for startups, you can think about, right? You try your best. If it's like getting, let's say you are intellectual property registered, if it's, let's say, getting registered with the Rwanda Cybersecurity Authority as a data controller or data processor, right? You can do those things, right? And when you get to a point where you can't, maybe it requires a little bit more advanced, legal expertise. You look for a lawyer, a good one, because the cost of not having a good lawyer, is really massive compared to the small fees you would be paying for the lawyer. Yeah.
Okay.
And another thing, they are also, part of what lawyers do, have what you call pro bono. Pro bono legal work is just the legal advice you can provide to someone for free. Let's say if it's a startup, they are, pushing for a bigger cause, right? And you'd be like, I can give you like 1 hour or 2 for free, right? And maybe when your business grow up, so considering that relationship we would have built, right? So then we can keep working together, and at least I will be able maybe to recover even those hours I would have spent 10 years ago. But that's maybe a story for another day, right? But at least, but at least no matter the size of your business, right? So you can still be able to manage your legal risk within, the limitations of your financial muscle and the type of issues you're likely to face as a business. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're still on the prevention part. What role does corporate governance play in minimizing legal exposure?
Okay, good question. So now, corporate governance, as wide and broad as it sounds, it's quite critical, right? Because it's all about how everything is dealt with within the organization, right? So if you have a responsible board, which is interested into everything that's going on, so and at least in some instances they are able to think twice, or maybe to question some of the things that are going on in the organization from a legal perspective. So I think it really helps. So when you have a robust, governance structures, right? So which appreciate, the importance, or maybe the issues that may arise from doing things in a way that are not supposed to be done, right? So I think it can help in managing legal risk in the sense that, so they would always be interested into knowing, again, you also have to look at the level of exposure. There are things, even if they are not fully aligned with the law, right? But from a risk perspective, because that's what actually the lawyers are supposed to be doing. So you look at the law, but you also look at the risk. Because something may not be compliant with the law, but does not pose any commercial risk, right? Yes, I can give you an example. So you have,
Yes, please.
you may have, for instance, the Companies Act, the law governing companies, provides that a major transaction must be approved by 75% of the shareholders. So a major transaction, just an example, it's like when you enter into, when the company, let's say, is selling like more than 50% of its asset. That's supposed to be approved by 75% of the shareholders. Now, in addition to that, you also need to get what we call a fairness opinion. We need to get an independent financial advisor issuing an opinion confirming that the terms of the transaction and everything are, in the best interest, are fair to the company and the shareholders. Now, think of a company that has one shareholder, and the same shareholder is okay with the approval of the transaction. Now, do you really need to take the route of obtaining a fairness opinion? Maybe no, because the person who is likely to challenge that transaction is that same shareholder, maybe who might even be a party to the transaction, right? And has approved the transaction. Now, from a pure legal perspective, you will not be complying with the law because you will not obtain the fairness opinion. But from a risk perspective, the risk of having that process challenged is almost zero. So that's like one of the examples I can give you. But there are many other things. So, and there may also be a risk, and maybe it's small. It's tolerable, something like that. So, but back to the point about corporate governance, right? So if you have robust governance systems, so they would always be, interested in knowing what's likely to affect the organization, right? Not just from a business perspective, but also from a legal perspective, right? And hence, consider engaging with legal advisors where necessary. So you cannot think of, let's say if an organization is to lay off like 50 employees. That's a big thing. It's not something the company can like say, okay, we've dealt with these things for quite a number of years, so let's do it, our own way. No. I think a responsible board, like where you have like proper governance systems. So I don't think they can afford allowing you handling such things, such type of case, in any way, right? In a way that you please. So they would always scrutinize the thing and say, okay, by the way, this thing is likely to give rise to a number of legal issues. Why can't we consider engaging a legal advisor to help us to avoid whatever legal issues and problems, legal implication, legal exposure that may come from this.
Okay. I think I am gaining a lot of information from this, even though I'm not a business owner, but
There will be one.
I'll be one, and also our listeners, we know like the biggest percentage of them are business owners. So this is a good one, honestly. Earlier we talked about AI and how everyone is really looking up to AI for a lot of information nowadays. And how is technology like AI and digital platforms creating new legal risks for businesses?
Okay, good question. So now I think on that one specifically, I can see the legal risks being more in terms of how let's say you handle your customers' data. Data protection always plays a big role into that, right?
Yeah.
So the over reliance on AI also may create some legal risks in the sense that maybe you may overlook some critical things just by relying on AI. Let's say, even in the legal industry, because legal profession is also business. So let's say you're drafting a client contract using AI, you'll meet like something critical, right? So, and down the line, after the contract had been signed, so you're having, issues which were not addressed owing to as a result of relying to AI. So, but straight to the point, so the technological disruption, so has created, new legal risks for business. So, and those risks are more associated with data. And data is becoming a critical thing in any economy nowadays, right? So the leakages in your systems, let's say think of financial institutions. So you've heard about cyber attacks, in financial institutions. I mean, if your customer's money is taken, without them not having been involved in any way, that's a legal risk because you're going to start fighting with them. So over who should be responsible for this. So such kind of things.
While we're talking about data protection, I think that's like one of the things I've heard you say multiple times.
Yes.
Ever since we started. With increasing data protection laws out here, how can companies stay compliant without slowing down innovation?
I mean, simple, because much as the regulatory framework is more or less demanding, right? But it does not in any way inhibit innovation. So you just simply need to be compliant. So let's say if you're collecting your employees' data, your customers' data, at least you have like a clear, statement, like this your data are being collected for ABCD purpose, so we are going to deal with it in this manner, right? Please accept. So at least you have the consent of your customer.
Customers.
We call them data subject in the data protection parlance. So you get like the registration. I mean, if you know you are collecting people's data, just get registered with the the National Cyber Security Authority, NCSA. You get a certificate of registration as a data controller. Now, of course, things start to get a little bit complicated with the cross-border flow of data. So now, when maybe you're transferring data to your business partners outside, so what do you need to do? First of all, have you gotten the consent of the data subject? Do you need to get the approval from authorization from the data protection office? Those kind of things. But for me, I don't think that is supposed to affect innovation anyway, right? If anything, it's actually supposed, to enhance it in a way.
I think this is coming in with the businesses or companies that are still in the analog, are still collecting data in an analogical... Manually, yeah. For example, if people are still writing their names on papers and their identification information, if yet there is a way of collecting all that info and people are still not really comply with that technology, what best way to talk to them to emphasize that without really forcing them again, but then make them see the clear picture of how they are really slowing down the innovation or even the country's technology system, Rwanda's maybe technology system?
Well, again, sometimes it's also somewhat, maybe misunderstanding things. I mean, by the data protection laws does not only cover data that are collected electronically. No. Even the information a doctor, the notes a doctor is taking when you go for medical treatment.
Really?
It's protected.
Okay.
Because it's personal data, right?
It is.
So I think business need to understand that going digital is in their best interest.
It is.
Right?
It is.
So because if you don't do it that way, you're going to be left behind, right? And the implications are obvious. We had businesses which had big names, right? But are now forgotten because of technological developments. So there is a saying, and maybe you may understand that easily. So they used to say, if you Uber yourself, you're going to be Kodak. Now, what does that mean? Uber, it's been around for, I don't think we have Uber in Rwanda, but Ubers, other countries in the region like Kenya, they have it. So Uber was one of the company that really leveraged on technological development in the area of, of lights, of transport, right? So you could be sitting in the comfort of your home. So, but okay, let's use Move, for instance. Just order a cab. So they'll tell you they are 5 minutes away from you. So they'll get to you like in 1 minute. So like quite conveniently. And then there is Kodak. I don't know whether, have you heard about that word Kodak for the first time? So Kodak is these, old photographers where they could take a picture, they go in the studio and they pretend. So if you look at the other paper at the back,
black thing.
Yes, there was a word Kodak. So it's a company that was in that specific, industry, but that was easily, swallowed by the technological developments. So that means when they say you need to Uber yourself, you need to up your game. You need to go digital. Otherwise, it will disappear as, those giants. Those businesses that were once giants, but which, go destroy. They disappeared as a result of the technological developments.
Okay. Now, do you really think businesses today are doing enough to address cybersecurity related legal risks?
Okay, good question. Again, not every business can be affected by
majority.
Not every business can be that has cybersecurity risks. Some do, others don't, right? But at least for those that are exposed, from a cybersecurity perspective. So I think they're doing enough. They're doing enough because it's now become clear that the risks are real, right?
Yeah.
They're real. So they don't have that luxury of not doing something about it. So it really varies from industry to industry, right? There are most targeted industries. You can think of financial sector, banking, telecommunication, right?
Yeah.
So those are the major targets of cyber attacks and everything, right? So, and as you can imagine, they end up creating legal risks, in the sense that, when such things happen, maybe think of data breach, for instance. Let's say if the data of your customers are, somewhat, accessed by people who should not access that, right? It's a cyber risk, right? So the data protection law has put in place some processes and procedures of dealing with such kind of things. But even businesses on their side, they have they're trying to put in place systems, of monitoring all those things, right? At least them are appreciating the legal exposure that may result from that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, when we bring it to the normal life, to the normal daily life of employees and employers and the companies, how important is employee awareness in managing legal risks within an organization?
It's very important because we're talking about organizations, but there is nothing like an organization. It's about people.
Yeah.
It's about culture. Because organizations are they are abstract in a way. They can't exist on their own. So you can't talk of ICPA, without talking of its people.
Yeah.
Because they are we call it, they are the blood and flesh, or flesh and blood of the organization, right? So they're the ones that make moves. They are the ones that take decisions, right? That can cause problems to the organization. So it's very, very, very important for the employees, especially those in decision-making positions, to always think about the legal implications of major moves or major actions they take. They don't need to be lawyers, not at all.
Sure.
But at least if they are doing something important, they need to just to ask themselves, does this thing pose like a legal risk? So, and at least, let's say if it's a big organization, maybe you have an in-house legal team. So, and it's actually becoming increasingly important. When you discuss with people who are in charge of legal departments in different organizations, they're saying, it's becoming too much. No one can do anything without asking us. So they are kind of pushing everything to the legal, so that if something goes wrong down the line, by the way, I've spoken with the legal team, they give us advice. So, but which is fine, because that's the role of legal teams in organizations. They need to have the capability, right, of helping, the business teams, right, achieving their business goals, right, but without necessarily, but not to the detriment or at the expense of the law, because, and of course, again, try to balance legal compliance, but the need to achieve the intended business outcomes. And that case, that's where then you have to look at the risk involved. Okay. So I think you remember the other example I gave. So you may have something which may somehow, departing from the law.
Yeah.
But from a commercial perspective, the risk is zero. Again, there in the middle, there's also something that's called ethics.
Yeah.
What's acceptable and what's not. Maybe something is legal, no business risks, but it's unethical. So now you have to tread a fine line.
Now, thank you for bringing up ethics. What are some common mistakes that employees make that expose companies to legal issues? It could be a tiny mistake you're doing without knowing, because sometimes we're not even aware of the legal risks sometimes. So yeah, what are some of the mistakes?
Okay. There are here and there, and of course, they may appear small, as you mentioned. Let's think of the HR departments, because they're the ones that deal with employees, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they even make decisions as to whether they need to be terminated or not.
Yeah.
So it may be that small procedure you've overlooked. Maybe you did not give your employee like a notice for termination, or maybe you did not. You have like an internal policy or maybe internal rules and procedure on how to deal with employees' claims, right? And you decide to ignore them. Maybe if they talk about like disciplinary hearing, you don't bother having that. So which means you've stepped onto your own rules, right? And that's something that's likely maybe not to be decided in your favor if the matter goes to court. Maybe let's say in retail industry, in retail businesses, unfortunately or fortunately in Rwanda, we have, yes, a consumer protection law, but the level of enforcement is not that daily robust. But let's say if this was to be strictly forced, right? Now the way businesses handles their customers' complaints and everything, so all the things are really flawed. So and we could see a lot of business having consumer complaints going to the Consumer Protection Authority, which is now RICA. So but maybe on to awareness issues, they not have those issues, but those small things exist. So and they really vary from one area to another. So I was talking about having contracts with customers, with suppliers, but you don't know when they're expiring. You don't know what's in that. Maybe if you need to terminate it, you don't know what's the notice period to give, right? Terminate it, and then the other day you're in court. So all those are the kind of things. It's just being careful. Simple.
Yeah.
Just being careful.
Okay.
And diligent enough.
Okay. Before we wrap it up, how can leadership create a culture of compliance without making it feel restrictive?
Again, I think I'll go back to where we started from. They need to strike a balance, actually a fair balance between legal compliance and legal risks, no, and business risks, right? So you look at what the law provides for, right? What you'd like to achieve from a commercial perspective, right? Because business would always want to thrive, right? Let alone, I mean, even if some of the approaches being considered for that purpose may run afoul with the legal requirements, right? So you're not going to be like sticking to the laws. Well, you need to consider them, right?
Yeah.
But you also have to strike a balance, right? And find a way you can achieve commercial outcomes, intended commercial outcomes, without ignoring the law, right? But also in the process of compliance, right? Don't use it like as a tool for maybe paralyzing businesses, right? So there is that need of striking a fair balance
Fair balance.
by considering three things: what's the position of the law, what's the risk involved, and then the other thing in the middle, what's acceptable and what's not, ethics.
Okay. So in terms of like handling crisis and response, when a legal issue arises, what should be the first step a business should take?
Well, again, it depends on the type of the legal issue, right? But let's say it's the worst of the worst.
It's the worst of the worst.
An organization can never face, right? So it really depends. There may be those risks that even involve like crimes, right? Which need to be investigated by the Rwanda Investigation Bureau, and then even goes into prosecution and everything, right? So and in such case, those need to be deported swiftly, right? But when there are issues which don't involve any criminal aspect, right? So like maybe it's how can I put this? Maybe it's an employee that needs to be always been terminated illegally, unfairly. Maybe it's an employee that needs to be terminated because something has occurred at workplace. So I think in terms of approach, especially for those important legal issues, the leadership is expected to act swiftly. And again, check with the lawyers before doing anything.
Me, I honestly think that should be the first step. Check with the legal team.
Yes, exactly. Check with the lawyers before doing anything.
Okay. So, how should a company communicate during, for example, if we're facing bankruptcy or fraud? Yeah. How should companies communicate during a legal crisis to protect their reputation? That's number one. Number two, what separates companies that recover well from the crisis and those that don't?
I'm not sure I got the last question.
Yeah?
I'm saying I'm not sure I got the last question.
So the last question is, yes, you've communicated during the crisis to protect your reputation and everything, but sometimes it goes well, some other times it doesn't. So what separates companies that recover well from the crisis and those that don't?
Okay, look, of course there are some of the things, I would say you're lucky or not, but let's look at like the road market, where you have a lot of companies that are on stock exchanges, where information is very, very important. And because of something that happens and how it was handled or how maybe it was dealt with in terms of communication, you may find that maybe the share prices of a given company is plummeting like by let's say 50% because of like an incident that took place at the organization, right? So of course, if the crisis is managed properly, sometimes the organization may get out of that quite nicely without having any issues. But other companies may even get their business closed because
They can't
let's
recover.
say yes, you can't recover. So and this is even beyond legal. This is beyond legal. It's about how you manage the relationship with your customers.
Public relations,
yes,
basically.
yes, other business partners. So that you've created even that kind of long-lasting relationship, and even when you are in those tough moments, they would always give you a benefit of doubt. Yeah. So there are things, of course, that are very sensitive. You can think of things like sexual harassment at workplaces. So those are the kind of things that organizations need to deal with like quite seriously, because they are likely to affect the reputation of the organization. And with social media, the information is moving just
So
like
fast.
so fast. You see someone maybe say, oh, I worked at this organization, they did me this and that, nothing was done, the leadership was in support of everything. You get what I mean, right? So and you can imagine how from a reputation perspective that can affect the organization. And if you are in markets where people respond to information, so you can start seeing impact, including people stopping buying your product. But I don't think you have those cases in Rwanda.
I don't think we do.
We don't. Where people would respond to information and they shun away from a particular business. But in developed markets, those things exist.
Okay.
If it's a company that is publicly traded, you can see like the prices of our shares are going down that by a big percentage.
Thank you so much, Dieudonné.
Pleasure.
Yeah, as we wrap up, I have like 2 things I would like you to share with us. If you could give us one piece of advice, if you could give advice to business leaders about legal risk, what could it be?
Well, I have a lot of things to share, but my advice would be that don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions that things will always be okay.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong in an organization, right? Or if you're going to do something important, right? And you can clearly see that somewhat, there are legal issues likely to come up. Take a step further and check with the right person, i.e. the lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's actually very good. Not even legal-wise or anything. Even in real life, do not make assumptions just because you feel like it. Yeah. Where would you recommend our listeners learn more or stay updated on the legal risk issues?
When we started, I said it. Nobody has monopoly of knowledge. And this is in all areas. Gone are days where you could go to see your doctor and they give you a medicine and you just go and take it. You would always maybe be tempted to check on the internet, how does this medicine work? What are the side effects? And you can even start to question and ask the doctor, but this medicine, you get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So it means information is outside there for everyone to consume. So there are a lot of platforms. So you have different lawyers on this market, law firms. So they are always releasing newsletters on the legal developments. Read those. Check on the internet. Some of the things that's being, discussed about whatever legal development that are taking place. If maybe something interests you, right, then you can dig deeper, right? And if need be, then you contact that specific person, who've written, such thing, right? So, and then based on that, you can be able to decide on whatever you need to decide on.
Okay. Just to wrap it up, I have just one question that's not even related to any of this. It's not even related to any of this.
It's okay.
What did you want to be while growing up?
Good question. So, when you say when growing up, what do you mean? From what age?
From whatever age you dreamed.
So, because for me, I started taking the things of career seriously after completing high school. Yes.
So
why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing because I feel like I started dreaming. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a therapist. I wanted to be all those things.
I just started to think about the things of career, after completing high school. Because look, I went to high school in O-level, which had law. By that time, there used to be law in high school.
Really?
Of course, for you don't know that.
Where? Was it in Rwanda?
Yes.
Where?
Until 2006. Yeah, well, there some of the high schools had law.
I think if they had it, I would have done it.
Had law. So, and at that high school, so I could say, I was in O-level, but I could see guys who are doing law, so they could argue. It's something I could really like, right? And it even informed my decision. So because I went in A-level, I did, that time it was humanities, it was in French called sciences humaines. So then, of course, down the line, along the way, it was changed to Hague. Then I went to university, I did law. So, but, getting interest in law as a career, it's something I started almost when I was completing high school.
Okay.
Yeah. But otherwise, I was just there waiting for the life to take me where it wanted.
Okay. Do you have a mentor? Like someone you look up to?
Yes. So my boss. So he hired me. We met in 2015. So I was in the final year at university. So I went there as an intern. So he's someone I would say is an accomplished lawyer. So he's a market leader in a way on this market. So he's been on the most. On the most of the big transactions, commercial transaction this market has ever known. So he is really an inspiration, in so many ways. And then me being able to work with him right from the start.
Yeah.
So, and now it's actually 11 years.
Oh, nice.
So I would say he's been a kind of my bread and butter in this journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
May we please know his name?
Yes, it's called Desiree Kamanzi. Desiré Kama.
Okay.
Desiré, not desire, it's Desiré.
Desiré Kamanzi.
Yes,
Okay.
he's my managing partner now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dieudonné.
Pleasure.
It was really, really good to have you.
Appreciate it. I mean, let's be doing these things quite often, right?
Yes, we
By the
should.
way, I mean, much as this conversation about general legal listen, I mean, me, I'm more a tax lawyer than any other
You are?
layer of law. That's why you even happen to be part of a member of your tax committee here at IGPA. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we've been on this market for quite some time now, 11 years. So we've seen a lot of things. So we can share our thoughts on a number of things to do with business law. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Appreciate it.
We would definitely love to have you back. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Of course.
And that's it for today's episode of the IGPA Exchange podcast, where we have conversations that count. We hope you've been inspired, informed, and empowered. Until next time, in the meantime, let's always have conversations that count. Thank you.